I'm your host, Nick Toka, and Bitcoin in the green again today, up a couple percent. On today's show, a US CPI comes in lower than expected. Are rate cuts coming? I think so. Rumble embraces Trump-era crypto strategy and purchases another $17 million in Bitcoin for their reserve. And our feature story of the day, Rich Dad, Poor Dad author doubles down on gold, Bitcoin, and silver and says the everything bubble is bursting. All this and so much more on today's show. Welcome, folks, to Crypto News Global. I'm your host, Nick Toka. Today is March 12th, 2025, and Bitcoin up a couple percent in the green. The whole market is up, moving really sideways. Let's get right into our market watch and Bitcoin technical analysis. We have the BIDI up 1.73% to 83,849 as we speak. Ethereum going sideways at 1888. Solana up a percent, $125. XRP up 2%, $2.23. Doge up 4.5% at 17 cents. Moving into our crypto bubbles for the day, we see that everything is in the green. Not up a hell of a lot, but definitely up. We've got Pi, the big winner, 21%, IP 13%, Jasby 8.5%. TIA 15%. Zooming out to the weekly, everything's still in the red for the week, 95% in the red. We've got TEL down 30%, Algorand down 20%, Cardano down 21%, Doge 15%, Jasmy 20%. Zooming out to the monthly, equally as red, Jasmy down 40% for the month. Pepe 30%, Wild 36%, Jupiter 40%, Hype 45%, XRP down 10%, making a comeback. Solana down 40%, as we saw yesterday, 2 days ago, was a great buy the dip opportunity on Solana. Moving into our market cap for the BIDI right now, Bitcoin sitting at $1.662 trillion, Ethereum at $227 billion, XRP $129 billion, Solana $64 billion, Cardano $25.5 billion, Doge $25 billion, Tron $21 billion in market cap. The total crypto market cap right now is sitting at $2.67 trillion, with Bitcoin holding 62.3% of that, Ethereum down even more at 8.5%, XRP steady at 4.86%, BNB 3%, others 8.5% combined. Today we are in a 45 in neutral. Yesterday we were at a 34 in fear, and last week we were at a 25 in fear as well. The Bitcoin halving in 2028 will happen in about 1,130 days, with 162,442 blocks left to mine until that time. And until the year 2140, we have 1,163,882 blocks left to mine until the final Bitcoin is mined in 2140. Top assets by market cap, we have gold at $19.5 trillion, Apple $3.3 trillion, Microsoft $2.8 trillion, Nvidia $2.8 trillion, Amazon $2.1 trillion, Google $2 trillion even, silver $1.88 trillion, Saudi Aramco $1.69 trillion, and there's the BIDI at $1.65 trillion. Let's refresh that and make sure it's accurate. And then, of course, we have Facebook at the number 10 position at 1.569 trillion. You can currently get 1,192 satoshis for one fiat US dollar, and the debt clock keeps on ticking with the US national debt at 36 trillion 588 billion 912 million, which equals $107,040 per US citizen, or $323,048 per US taxpayer. So we've come a long way from the bottom a few days ago. We were down just above $76,500, and we're up, getting close to $10,000 in 2 or 3 days from that. Today we had some news out of the U.S. with the U.S. CPI, and they came in lower than expected. And the question is, are rate cuts coming? I would suggest that yes, they are coming, which is definitely bullish for the biddy. Interest rate cuts and expansions of the monetary supply have a positive effect on asset prices, especially Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. The latest U.S. Core Customer Price Index, CPI, print, a measure of inflation, came in lower than expected at 3.1%, beating expectations of 3.2%, with a corresponding 0.1% drop in headline inflation figures. According to Matt Mina, crypto research strategist at 21 Shares, the cooling inflation data adds to the likelihood that the Fed Reserve will cut interest rates this year, injecting much needed liquidity into the markets and sending risk-on asset prices back higher. Mina added, rate cut expectations have surged in response. Markets now price in a 31.4% chance of a rate cut in May, up over 3 times from last month, while expectations for 3 cuts by the end of the year have jumped to over 5 times to 32.5%, and 4 cuts have skyrocketed from just 1% to 21%. Despite the better than expected inflation numbers, the price of Bitcoin declined from over 84,000 at the daily open to now sit around 83 as traders grapple with the U.S. President Donald Trump trade war and macroeconomic uncertainty. Is President Trump crashing markets to force rate cuts? I ran this story about a month ago at least, talking about specifically this, the tariffs, sure, they'll post tariffs, but then what ends up happening? Things are too expensive for countries to ship things to the States. So what's going to happen with the States? They need to lower their dollar. What happens with a lower dollar is it's going to attract more imports. So these tariffs seem to be doing just that. So is President Trump crashing markets to force rate cuts? Fed Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said on several occasions that the central bank is not rushing to cut interest rates, a view echoed by Fed Reserve Governor Christopher Waller. During a Feb 17th speech at the University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia, Waller said the bank should pause interest rate cuts until inflation comes down. These comments were met with concern from market analysts who say that a lack of rate cuts might trigger a bear market and send asset prices plummeting. On March 10th, market analyst and investor Anthony Pompliano speculated that the President Trump intentionally crashing financial markets to force the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. Look at that. I front ran Pompliano by about a good month or so. Government has had approximately $9.2 trillion in debt that will mature in 2025 unless refinanced. So what are they going to do to refinance the debt? Here's the chart. They, of course, what they always do, they're going to print more money. Debasing their own currency. The more debasement that happens in the currency, the higher the bid is going to go. According to the Kabisi letter, the U.S. government needs to refinance roughly $9.2 trillion in debt before it reaches maturity in 2025. Failure to refinance this debt at lower interest rates will drive up the national debt, which is currently over $36 trillion, and cause the interest rate payments on debt to balloon. Due to these reasons, President Trump has made interest rate cuts a top priority for his administration, even at the short-term expense of asset markets and business. So there you have it. If they don't refinance this massive debt here at a reasonable interest rate, they're pretty much screwed. So, Trump, he's a smart guy. He knows this. Jerome Powell's an idiot, and they don't care if they bankrupt the country. So, and, they don't care if one day they come and say, sorry, we've spent trillions of dollars and now the U.S. taxpayer owes this money. Please give us, as we saw, it was at $107,000 per citizen or $300,000 per taxpayer. Yeah, right. As if that's going to happen, right? So the interest rates are going to have to come down in order to service this debt. At some point this year, the rates are going to come down. They're going to have to come down substantially, or just repaying this debt is going to cost them a hell of a lot of cash because of higher interest rates. A big bullish tenet, in my estimation, is that more people and more corporations are buying the biddy. We have Rumble, who embraces the Trump era and crypto strategy with a $17 million purchase. The video sharing platform added 188 Bitcoin to its treasury as President Trump attempts to establish a crypto stockpile in government. Video sharing platform Rumble says it had purchased more than 17 million worth of Bitcoin as a part of a previously announced investment strategy. In a March 12th notice, Rumble said it had added 188 Bitcoin to its treasury for roughly $17.1 million. The investment, suggested by CEO Chris Pavlovsky in November, followed Donald Trump winning the U.S. presidential election, was touted as a hedge against inflation and part of a broader move to deepen ties to the crypto industry. Platform hinted it could make additional Bitcoin purchases depending on the market factors. Though Rumble did not specifically mention Trump or his attempts to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve and a crypto stockpile at the federal level, Pavlovsky's social media posts suggest strong support for the U.S. president's policies. Rumble's cloud currently hosts Trump's social media platform, Truth Social, the president's primary method for public communications, and entered into an agreement with El Salvador's government in January to provide services. Cointelegraph reached out to Rumble for comment, but did not receive a response at the time of the publication. With Bitcoin on its balance sheet, Rumble joins a list of companies that have invested in crypto following the November election, including AI firm Genesis Group and software company Semler Scientific. The share price of Rumble stock has fallen roughly 34% since January 1st. So, smart companies, what they do if they want their stock price to go up is they start buying Bitcoin. We'll see. As of tomorrow, I can't guarantee it, but there's a very strong possibility that the Rumble stock price is going to go up, even though it's down 34% since January 1st. Once you start adding the biddy, and this has happened with other companies, there's something symbolic that the market sees that it's a smart move because this is a long-term holding strategy that's going to add value to your company. So I wouldn't be surprised if their stock pumps starting tomorrow. There is yet another billionaire that is very bullish on Bitcoin, and it is our good friend Robert Kiyosaki, a Rich Dad, Poor Dad author, and he doubles down on gold, Bitcoin, and silver and says the everything bubble is bursting. He's been calling this for months now, probably years, realistically. Rich Dad, Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki is doubling down on Bitcoin and precious metals as he warns of a possible U.S. economic collapse. Kiyosaki tells his 2.7 million followers on social media platform X that the market sell-off this week may indicate the everything bubble is on the verge of collapse. The everything bubble is bursting. I'm afraid this crash may be the biggest in history. Germany, Japan, and America have been the engines up until now. Unfortunately, our incompetent leaders led us into a trap. Giant crash. I wrote about this crash in my book, Rich Dad's Prophecy. This crash is going to be bigger than the 1929 crash, a crash that led to the Great Depression. It's normal to be disturbed and fearful. Just do not panic. Be stoic, which means keep your cool, take deep breaths, keep your eyes wide open and mouth shut. While millions will be crushed, you do not have to be one of them. In 2008, I waited, letting the panic and dust settle, and then started to look for great real estate assets on sale at deep discounts. Real assets on sale at deep discounts. Exactly. That is when you should be buying. When everybody else is selling and everybody else is freaking out and the prices come down, that's your opportunity to buy things at a lower price. It's basically on sale. He suggests that the best stores of value during an economic crash are gold, silver, Bitcoin, and real estate. Simply said, this crash the world is going through just might be the opportunity of your lifetime. Be stoic and be cool. No matter how turbulent things get, I will continue to acquire real estate, gold, silver, and Bitcoin on sale. The best-selling author also predicts that at some point during Donald Trump's presidential term, the U.S. will start buying Bitcoin as a way to fix government's financial troubles, pumping Bitcoin. People who sold Bitcoin in the last crash are losers. Don't they know who the president of the United States is? President Trump. The right president at the right time understands the power of Bitcoin. When he begins buying Bitcoin to help solve America's financial insanity, those who bought Bitcoin in the last crash will be the winners, and those who sold will be the big losers. I bought more Bitcoin. Did you? Yeah, so I've been talking the same way. And I think it is a very smart way to go. You want to buy the sale, buy the dip. Anything you do, you're always looking for a deal. You want some headphones from Best Buy. Do you buy them on sale or do you wait for Black Friday? Instead of paying, $300-400 for the best, you'll pay $200 for the best. However, with financial markets, it seems to be the opposite. When things go on sale, everybody's running the other way. So look at it like a sale at Best Buy, all right? A sale, you want to buy a refrigerator, you want to buy a lawnmower, a snowblower, a reasonably big purchase, and are you going to buy it at full price, or are you going to take a look and wait a little bit and to see when it goes on sale? And when it does go on sale, you're going to be there to buy it, right? So use the same analogy for buying financial services. When prices come down and everybody's running the other way because, oh my God, the world's coming to an end and, stock market crash, et cetera, that is when you jump in and you buy the dip. You're buying it on sale. If you're able to buy, something today for $1 and it goes down to 50 cents, well, now you can buy 2 of them. So look at it that way. Real estate, also exactly the same. I've said it many times before. This is all part of basic financial literacy, guys. You want to live within your means. I say it every day. And you want to get things when there's a good value. If you look to buy your house in, May and June, when everybody's buying, you're going to run into price wars. If you look to buy your place in November, December, you're going to be the only one buying. So you have your choice, and the seller's all desperate because they're thinking, hey, I don't know if I could sell. I need the money now, and you'll be able to talk them down a little bit. Conversely, when you're selling, you want to sell at the top. So in terms of real estate, you want to be that person selling in May, June, July, right? April, May, June, we'll call it. But not on the buy. And remember, you are making, no matter what anyone tells you, you're making your money on the purchase time. You're not making your money on the sale time. So if you're buying something on sale, you're almost immediately in the green, because a few weeks later, the price goes up and you already bought it at a lower price. Whereas if you're buying on the high, you're going to have to wait a long time for this thing to actually go higher than the price you paid for it. So always keep in mind, you got to have balls of steel here. You can't be weak. You have to be stoic, as Rich Dad Kiyosaki says, and be strong. When the market is tanking, that is your chance to jump in and get yourself a good deal. And Bitcoin, certainly, if there's a dip, Bitcoin will be a good deal and a good buy. Some of the large market cap stocks also might be a good deal and a good buy. Things that are going to be around for a long time. Personally, I am exactly with Rich Dad sentiment. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate, these are definitely safe havens. And if you're able to jump in on one of these when the market dips and when everybody's freaking out and when everybody's selling, that's when you're buying. And you're going to get the best value in that kind of situation, rather than buying the top like everybody else. And, the news comes out, Bitcoin all-time high. Oh, now's the time to buy now. Well, it's the fear of missing out. Don't be afraid. There's tons of money out there. There's $900 trillion in assets around the world. Money is everywhere. Money is abundant. It's time that's scarce. So spend your time wisely, guys. Read books, listen to podcasts, get yourself some more information about financial literacy. Start learning about different topics that might help you in your future. And this is definitely the way to go. This is how you spend your time wisely, because after all, we're only here for a certain amount of time. When you're gone, the money's still going to be there. The property's still going to be there. The world is still going to be there. Even if there's things get nuked, what will continue is Earth, right? Think about it. You're just a little blip. We're all just little blips in this time. 3 billion years, I believe, the Earth has been around. And how long do the math. It's we're around 100 years. 0.00000, I don't know how many zeros would be the difference in how long we're actually here compared to how long the Earth and the universe has been around. So things will continue to spin with or without us. So time is what is scarce. Money is abundant. So be confident about that. Get your share so you can start making money early in your teens. Start saving. Start investing. Late teens, early 20s, and ideally you can retire when you're 40 or 45 and enjoy what you always wanted to do, the things that you would not be able to do if you're 65 or 70 or 80 when you don't have your health anymore and you can't get around. But at 40, 45, you can travel the world, you can go any direction you want, and you'll be perfectly fine in your health and hopefully in your finances. That's kind of what you want to get to. If you have a great idea, start your idea today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Even if you're not ready, start today, and things will definitely come together shortly before you know it. And even if things don't work out, you'll at least have the satisfaction that you tried, even if you failed, rather than never trying and having this thing held over your head saying, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. Live without regrets. That is why you start today. Folks, I will have 500 to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and Please join me in this ride. If you could hit the subscribe button, it would mean a lot for me. I'm going to continue bringing you financial literacy as much as possible and these stories from the Biddy and the world. If you find this stream enjoyable, please share, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next stream, folks. Thanks so much for joining.